Hello, hello. Pure Potential members, what's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good this Friday night. I hear there is a college football playoff game played tonight. I don't know anything about that. Feel free to fill me in if you're watching both, but we're here to talk about a startup draft because I can't seem to keep myself from drafting. I see Fresno here in the chat. He was first. Carson, ready to call me out for being late. Watch out, Carson. I'll roast the heck out of your team, bro. We got Max here. We got Austin here. We got Cap 10. We here and Pure. Nico is here. Everybody that's in the startup is here, ready to hear about this this draft. All right. So we're going to check this out. If you saw the link that said mock draft, we're not talking about a mock draft. That was just me on autopilot trying to set up the live stream, and I just called it a mock draft. This is a real startup draft that Nico invited me to. There's a couple other members. Austin, a.k.a. AJ the Beast, is in that draft, and then Carson is also in that draft. So there's four of us, I believe, from Pure Potential, and then I think everyone else is from the Flock Discord. So we have some different types of opinions. It's been a pretty sharp draft overall, I'd say, but a couple of weird trades, a couple of interesting picks for sure. But I definitely haven't felt like, the values are crazy or that I'm like winning the draft by a mile. Like there's a lot of good teams. So it'll be interesting to look at. And definitely the interesting thing about this draft is the psychology of drafting right now and trying to get out of the mindset that we've been in since June or July of like who's going to score points for us. And that doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter who's scoring points right now. It matters who's scoring points for us in 2026. And I think some people are doing a little bit of a better job, projecting forward where the value is going to be, and some people are maybe a little bit stuck in the moment. But we'll take a look. And then there weren't really many other questions for tonight. I figured I could go through some of the deals. I've been to be honest, I've been firing out offers like a maniac, and I can't figure out if I'm being stupid or if I'm leaning into the correct meta in the no trade deadline leagues. I suspect it's the latter, and I'll show you some of the trades that I've made and kind of talk through it. But yeah, we'll look at this draft board here. Like I said, this is a startup that Nico was so kind to invite me to. This is the draft right now. This is pretty normal league, 12 team, super flex, PPR, tight end premium. Hold on a second. Just gotta check something real quick. Hold on. Okay. All right. I was just making sure I didn't misremember this. I think someone invited me to another startup that was points per carry. And I was like, wait, was this one points per carry the whole time? And I didn't realize it. So anyway, it's not. So it's a standard league, regular tight end premium and everything. This is my draft so far. And I think the first couple picks are pretty straightforward. Malik Neighbors, 107. I think he, fourth wide receiver off the board in this one. I did take him over Gibbs and Bijan. I just feel like I know I have Gibbs ranked ahead. Part of that is just the immediate production he's giving you as a league winner. I still really struggle to take any running back over a guy like Neighbors. Going to be 23 next year, as about as good as any wide receiver in the league. He now has a quarterback. I think I think there's a very good chance that he does end up as the dynasty wide receiver one again at some point, or at least like interchangeable with the JSNs of the world. So, and I've also lost several Malik Neighbors shares over the course of the season where I was competing. He went down. I traded him away. And so I picked up, and I wanted to add another Neighbors share to my portfolio because I like him as a player. So it was a little bit of a heart pick, but I do think that's the guy that I would go with there regardless. I think a case can be made certainly for a Gibbs, a Bijan, a Brock Bowers. Probably the only guys I would consider there other than Neighbors. I'm able to get Trey McBride in the second round. And Trey McBride is interesting. We're going to have to have a long talk about Trey McBride in the offseason because, like, obviously what he's doing right now is insane and unprecedented. And if he was going to do that again, he should be a top 10 startup pick. So it's not like he has to do this again to pay off. But at the same time, he's benefiting a lot from the current situation of the Cardinals where, like, their defense sucks. They can't run the ball. Jacoby Brissett is doing his best Jameis Winston impression, dropping back 50 times a game. What is the situation for McBride next year? Obviously, it's not going to be Kyler. Is it going to be Brissett? Is he actually going to be the starter? Are they going to be able to draft a rookie quarterback? Are they going to try to go after someone else? There aren't really any free agent options. So I'm kind of curious what's going to happen with this team. And I've almost landed on, like, Brissett's going to have to be the starting quarterback for this team. I don't know what else they can do. I don't think they're going to have an early enough pick to go up and get anybody. Not that there even is anybody to get in this class, but they're not going to get Mendoza. So, like, I don't know. You know, it's tough. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I actually ended up drafting Brissett, and I think I've been a little bit stingier with my last remaining Brissett shares because, like, he might just be the starter by default. I just don't know what else they're going to do. But yeah, I go Neighbors, I go McBride. Let me just hit the chat here real quick. ASU fan said he had a start-sit situation. I do love start-sit situations. 2 flex filled by Hunter Henry and Tony Pollard. That's disgusting. Other options, Josh Downs, Marvin Harrison, Jaden Reed, Jaden Higgins, Michael Carter. Is this a tight end premium league? Full PPR, I guess, would be my first 2 questions. I think Jaden Reed is probably a better start this week than Pollard. I don't know. Pollard's been weird. Like, Pollard's been so bad all year, and then he breaks off these 2 games where he actually gets a little bit of efficiency. Tony Pollard right here. 14 for 104. Like, I just don't really have any faith. The KC run defense is good. He's had 1 reception over the past 2 games. I don't really have much faith in Pollard. I wouldn't want to start him. Hunter Henry against the Ravens, I think, is a fine start. Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably rather play Jaden Reed or Michael Carter over Pollard. But to be honest with you, I'm not the guy to go for with start sits. Like, you could check out the Dynasty Daddy start sit tool. You could check out the underdog guys do really detailed rankings every week. You can check those out. But yeah, that's probably how I would play it, I suppose. Anyway, I go Neighbors, I go McBride. This Jake Elliott pick here, the 3rd pick I made, that's the rookie 103. I was hoping to get, I had a queue here. I had in my queue Hampton, Dart, 102, Herbert, Egbuka. And then all of those players went in a row, which was pretty tilting to me. So I ended up going 103. I really, really wish that I took Trevion Henderson. Unfortunately, this was before his big game against the Bills, which probably would have flipped me in that direction. I was really, really close between them, and I thought taking 103 was maybe the more responsible choice. Like, you're eliminating any injury risk, you're eliminating any risk of, you know, weird committee things continuing, but he really did pull away in that game. And if I could go back, I would have taken Henderson. But you can see some more like win now type of picks. Like, we get McCaffrey here, 2 picks after Henderson, which I think is crazy. You get Pickens afterward. Austin here is on the turn. But yeah, I go Neighbors, McBride, Elliott, and then I go ahead and take the only running back I've drafted so far is Quinshon Judkins, which is not a brand pick for me, but I could tell the room was a little higher on running backs than I was. He seemed like the clear best running back available here, and probably my highest ranked player. I would have taken Garrett Wilson had he come down, but I didn't get a chance to take Garrett Wilson, so I probably would have taken Brock Purdy as well. But I took Judkins here. Then I go Lawrence in round 5. Gadsden. Now, here's what happened. This was a little bit of me just being kind of a goofball in that Nico is drafting right here. I knew I wasn't going to get Burden to come back around the turn past both of these picks. So what I ended up doing was swapping. I ended up swapping my 7th and 8th round picks for this guy's 6th and 9th round picks. So I ended up getting, instead of sticking in this spot where I guess I could have taken, I don't know, Devonta Smith or Cam Ward, and then I could have taken, Pearsall, Higgins, whatever. I end up getting Luther Burden here and Tyler Shuck. And I'm actually pretty happy with that. I think you could definitely make the argument to stay put. Had A.J. Brown fallen here, had R.J. Harvey fallen here, I think I would have felt better about that. Now, I did take Burden over the 108, which is not how it's ranked. Again, it was just a little bit more of a heart pick. I knew I was going to have a lot of rookie picks in this draft. I wanted to get a guy that I'm really rising on, and I wanted to add another share of Burden. But yeah, so I end up with 2 tight ends through my first 6 rounds, 2 wide receivers, a rookie pick, a running back, a quarterback. Lawrence here feels a little bit out of place. 2 picks after Jordan Love, 3 picks after Dak Prescott. I've adjusted on Lawrence, and I don't know if it's the right thing to do, but I really think, you can point out the defenses if you want to, but over the last several, 5 weeks or so, he's played legitimately really well. And not only that, he has scored for fantasy. He's now the QB7 in points per game this year. The Liam Cohen offense is really gelling, and I do still believe that he is a fantastic offensive designer. And now Cohen is now locked. Sometimes you have a quarterback like Sam Darnold this year has been overall pretty good. Clint Kubiak's going to be gone next year. He's going to go get a head coaching job. That's not going to happen to Trevor Lawrence. Liam Cohen is now the guy there, so he's never going to lose his offensive coordinator. They're winning the division. So any concern early in the year that this team was going to fall apart, Lawrence, maybe they try to get rid of him down the line, that's all gone. He's winning the division. He's playing well. He has the long-term contract. He's 26 years old. I think it's like I slowly lowered him, and then I sort of just ignored him. And so he gets this big boomerang back up after the 6 touchdown game. It's really more that I was it was really more that I just started to realize what was happening. It's really hard to keep your eyes on 200 players every week all season. It just slips your mind, what guys are doing. And so you start to go back and you start to see, put the pieces together. And I'm like, you know what? This Lawrence guy, he needs to be ranked higher. So that's where I'm at. He could struggle against Denver this week for sure. But I do think he deserves to be in this conversation. So I drafted him here as my QB1. I didn't want to wait too much longer to get a quarterback, honestly. So I was comfortable with it. Max, I appreciate it. I love to just rant about players, and honestly, I'm over the moon that there are people that actually want to sit there and listen to me do it. So, because whenever I do it to my wife, she just doesn't seem to be paying attention. Yeah, she doesn't really care much about Luther Burden or Trevor Lawrence. I tried to explain to her why last night's game was so insane, and her eyes just glazed over. She did not care. Yeah, we'll talk about Austin's draft, and we can talk about Austin, Nico, and Carson's drafts. That's fine. I'm talking about my draft first. And Austin, I just cannot disagree more. I'm a little bit concerned about Sam Darnold, maybe very concerned. Like I said, Clint Kubiak, he is gone, dude. He is going to be a head coach, guaranteed. He's probably the best candidate. He's going to be gone. Darnold still shows us way too many of those seeing ghosts moments where I genuinely worry. And then with Darnold as well, he's not really even putting up the points. He's averaging 15, 16 points per game. He is squarely in the replaceable zone of quarterbacks. He's in that like, high end QB2 zone. That's not really the type of upside that I am looking for. So I think he's much sketchier contract wise, team situation wise, production wise. Like he's fine. He's a fine stopgap. He's going to be a starter next year. He's not a guy I'm drafting and thinking that I have a locked in long-term quarterback, to be honest. But yeah, and then I have no picks for a couple rounds. That's always tough. You get a bit of FOMO there. I mean, I'm not too crazy about a lot of these picks. I don't really care to miss out on a lot of these guys, the Metcalfs, the Addisons, the Chase Brown, Ferguson, whatever. A Kenneth Walker wasn't getting back to me here. Yeah, like I wouldn't have minded if Jaden Higgins came back around. I probably would have taken Pitts if he came back around. I would have taken Darnold over Kyler, but it ends up coming back to me at 9-6, and I went ahead and took Kyler. I don't know. I really struggle to see how he's not a starter next year. I could have gone Bryce Young. Honestly, probably the right move would have been to take Bryce Young. I'm just kind of a Bryce Young hater. And then I went with probably the pick that's the easiest to make fun of in the whole draft, but I honestly feel pretty good about it, was Tyler Shuck here at 9-10. I really, really had to psych myself up for this pick, but I am becoming a little bit Tyler Shuck pilled, to be honest with you. I just, this guy is actually playing pretty good football. My favorite guys to listen to talk about football right now, at least for, like, they don't just talk fantasy, but like they have a fantasy lens, obviously, would be the Underdog Fantasy guys, Hayden Winks and Josh Norris. I think they do a really good job. I think they're very smart, and they do their stats versus film show every week. They've been talking about these performances from Shuck, and I went back and I just wanted to see it. I watched all of his dropbacks against the Panthers, and I think he looks pretty good. Like, I think he's totally adequate quarterback. They drafted this guy pretty high. Kellen Moore picked him out. I don't know whether it's true or not, but they say that the Saints liked him better than Jackson Dart. So they definitely had some conviction in Shuck. And I just don't think he has any like fatal flaw. Like, I think he's just a pretty high floor guy. He has some mobility as well, which surprised me. And then the team situation, I mean, the Saints are kind of a disaster, but like similar to Liam Cohn, like you have Kellen Moore. He is consistently a high pace guy. He runs a lot of plays. He's a decent offensive designer. So I think you're going to have a certain floor to the offense. And we've seen that this year with Chris Olave. And with the quarterbacks, he's gotten serviceable performances out of Spencer Rattler and now Tyler Shuck. They're now the 7th overall pick in the draft. They have the Jets, the Titans, and the Falcons to close out the season. There's no way they're picking anywhere close to the top of the draft where they could get a Mendoza or even Dante Moore if he comes out. They're not getting those guys. And they have way too many holes to be trying to trade up and get a new quarterback, especially when Shuck has been winning games. So he's going to be the starter next year. I think he has a legitimate shot to be a good quarterback. And at this point, I view him pretty similarly to a Bryce Young, to a Kyler Murray, arguably even a Sam Darnold at this point. So I'm pretty interested in Shuck. And if people have him that don't really buy into that, I'd be happy to pick up some more shares. After this pick, I really leaned into the rookie picks. I felt like people just kept taking players that, like, every time I would come up, there would be a player that was in the same tier as the picks, like guys that are in base 2 and I can take 205, guys that are in late 2, but I could just take 210. And I kind of realized that a lot of these players need to be moved down, because when you get into the offseason, nobody wants these fringe players that are not difference makers. Even during the season, a lot of times, nobody wants them. Like, I have a team, I talked about it in the video this week, I have a team that has a stacked bench of guys like Khalil Shakir, Jerry Jeudy, TJ Hawkinson, Isaiah Likely, Stephon Diggs, like just a bunch of guys in that range that are theoretically worth second round picks. I sent a lot of offers, enough offers to be annoying to people in the league about to get picks for these players. Nobody wanted them. So like, it's fine to say, hey, this player is worth this in a vacuum. Like if you need a guy that you need to play, you can trade a late 2 for Michael Wilson. But the second this season's over, you don't need to fill the lineup anymore. Nobody else needs to fill their lineup. Nobody's really going out of their way to go and acquire these non-special players, these non-difference making players. Nobody's going out of their way to go and get DJ Moore, to get Jawan Jennings, to get Woody Marks or whoever, like unless they think they know something, like, oh, I'm going to get them at a discount, and at which point you're not going to want to sell them anyway. So I think whenever you're looking at that kind of equivalent value, I have found myself just leaning to the pick because it's safe, it's flexible. Your rookie picks aren't going to get replaced in free agency or get added competition in free agency or go to new teams that suck. So you just want to have the picks. I ended up taking the 205 here at the 10-7. Made a very off-brand pick here with Matthew Golden. And again, pulled him up a bit from where I had him ranked. But I'm thinking, who is a guy that can gain value from now till the end of the season, right? I feel like you could picture Matthew Golden, having a 2-touchdown game out of the blue in week 18 or in the wild card weekend. And now he goes into the offseason with some momentum. Now with the Jacoby Myers re-signing, I might have taken him, but like, I don't really want Terry McLaurin. I don't want Alec Pierce. I don't want Quentin Johnston. I don't want these guys that are just so middling. I want a chance at some upside, not a guy that I can just go and get like at any point. I feel like those players, they just end up kind of accumulating on your bench and then you don't do anything with them. So I took Golden. I took the 209. I took the 210. I took the 212. So I have the back end of the second round pretty locked up. Finally took another player in Chris Godwin here at 15-6. All of the second round picks were off the board. I think the next pick was like 302. And honestly, I'm not convinced that Chris Godwin is washed. I feel like he could get healthier next year. If we see a scenario where like Mike Evans retires and Chris Godwin comes back, age 30 season, he could be more effective than this year. I think he could be decent in PPR. I end up taking this next pick, I think is the 304. And then I took Jacoby Brissett. Like I said, I think he could fall into a starting job with the Cardinals next year. It's possible. It was worth it to me over the 308 or whatever the pick was. So I took Brissett. Then I took Mike Evans. Maybe he'll retire. I took him one pick before Tyreek Hill, or maybe after. No, one pick before Tyreek Hill was off the board. We're in the range of like Tank Bigsby, Sean Tucker, Jalen Wright. I don't know. I mean, Mike Evans just had 132 receiving yards in his first game off a broken clavicle. Like the guy can still play. Maybe he comes back next year. I feel like I have a Buccaneers wide receiver either way. And then I went ahead and took the 3-0 something. I don't know. Some mid to late third round pick here. And we're about to come back on the clock in a second. So we'll see. The board's getting pretty thin at this point. But yeah, I like how my draft has turned out. I'm not afraid of having one running back on my roster. That doesn't bother me at all. I'll probably end up drafting a couple running backs with these picks. Maybe I'll go and trade for running backs with these picks. Maybe I'll flip one of my quarterbacks. If we think that Brissett's a starter, Kyler becomes expendable. I trade Kyler for a running back. I don't really care. I will find pieces. That is not a concern for me. Looking at my wide receiver group, it's Neighbors, Burden, probably somebody here at 103, Golden, Godwin, Evans. So it's kind of a mixture of like, you're going to have your stud at the top. You're going to have some young guys. Hopefully they come through. You have some steady veterans, hopefully. And then maybe a rookie with some upside as well. So it's all fine. It's not like it's not going to blow you away for sure, but you can see the path for this team. Certainly need the Browns to get a little bit of an upgrade on offense for the Judkins pick to come through for me. But I think he's a pretty safe he's a pretty safe asset. Like, he's a good running back. He's 22. He's going to get loaded up with touches for his whole rookie contract. So I think he's fine. All right. So if anybody has questions about the draft, why I made a pick, I was pretty thorough, I think, but you can feel free to ask me. I'm going to take a look at Austin's team here at the 101 spot. Is punting quarterback the new meta? Seems kind of cool. I think that I don't know yet what the meta is, if there is one. I still really want guys like Josh Allen, Drake May, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels. After that, it gets a little bit suspect for me because you have Mahomes with the MCL. Not that I don't want him, but like, he's got to fall. Joe Burrow is whatever. I don't get excited about Joe Burrow where he goes in drafts. He's kind of a guy I typically avoid. And then Jalen Hurts, I hate to say it, man. There's some real chinks in the armor this season with Jalen Hurts. Not that like he was a flawless quarterback before, but like, I'm almost at the point with Jalen Hurts where I feel like he needs to be ranked a little bit lower because I think there's some legitimate fear that he could become, like, he could get Kyler Murray at some point. I really think that could happen. And we will not get much warning if it does happen. You know, like, if the Eagles drafted a quarterback in the second round, Jalen Hurts would lose a round and a half of startup value, like, immediately. So I just think there's actually some risk with Hurts where, yeah, I would solidly prefer Jaden Daniels. I would solidly prefer, obviously, Lamar Jackson. But I would shop, like, I would just consider shopping him. I'm not, you can see where he is in the rankings, but yeah, I think there's some concern there. So, like, Jackson Dart's pretty interesting to me as a third rounder. If you can get him there, I really did want him in this draft, and I would have taken him if I could. When he went, I didn't want to grab Caleb over the 103. I would have taken Herbert. So I'm okay with punting. I think you can. And I think right now there's enough uncertainty where, like, you can pick a few guys and you hope you have a quarterback. But we'll see how the landscape settles in early in the offseason. But yeah, you could also go, like you said, you could go like, you could take one quarterback high, and then you could, like, I've done that before. You take your kind of anchor quarterback. You're like, I know I have one spot figured out, and then you can just pick and choose where the best value lands. And maybe your QB2 ends up being, Tyler Shuck, and you can live with that. All right. Austin over here drafted Josh Allen at the 101. Then he took Tedero McMillan at the 212. This was a third round reversal, so he has to wait until the 312 to make his next pick. He takes George Pickens. He gets the 104 along with George Pickens at the 4-1. Then he goes for some more rookie picks. 104, then he gets 106 and 107. And then 108, 109 go. He gets 110, 111. So he has 4, 6, 7, 10, 11 here. He's got almost half the first round locked up. He goes ahead and grabs Sam Darnold at the 8 and 9. So he has his 2 quarterbacks. He has 2 wide receivers. Doesn't make another pick until the 11th round where he takes Devontae Adams. I was going to take Devontae Adams over Matthew Golden had he fallen. So that was a snipe for sure. So I got sniped there. Adams is an interesting guy where, like, he's 33, or he's about to be 33, still clearly very good. And I'm starting to lean more towards the Rams running this thing back next year with Stafford. I really struggle to see Stafford retiring at the level he's playing. He just seems so locked in. Could be wrong about that, but I would lean more towards Stafford is back next year with Devontae Adams than the opposite. Yeah, Nico, I've used the link when I need it. I'm just kind of counting and winging it right now, but yeah, I could pull it up. He gets his anchor running back here, his RB1, Jalen Warren, at the 11-12, followed by Alec Pierce. He gets AD Mitchell, another pick here somewhere in the second round. I think it's 211. Jalen Knoll, third rounder. Dalton Schultz, Justin Fields, and another third rounder down there. So he's got a lot of picks to work with. Obviously, right now, this is not a team you would look at and say, hey, this is a strong contender. I don't think that matters when you're talking about a startup in December. You got a lot of time. I think these are good value picks. I think the rookie picks are only going to get more valuable. He should have every opportunity to swing some deals. People are going to FOMO their way into the draft. There's a lot of teams that have no rookie picks. So he'll have opportunities, and he'll probably get, a running back or two in the draft. He'll get some wide receiver help. He can piece things together at tight end. He has 2 quarterbacks. So yeah, I think it's a solid team. Pretty well done there. We got Nico over here, who's kind of all over the board. He goes Bijan at 109. He goes 101. So he goes with the double in theory, double running back start, unless he trades the pick with Bijan and then the 101, which should be Jeremiah Love. He goes Justin Herbert here with his first quarterback, stacks him up with Ladd McConkey in the 4th round. Takes Colson Loveland with his 5th round pick, tight end premium league. I like that pick. Gets him after Harold Fannon's off the board. Loveland is who I would have taken if I didn't go with Lawrence, and I think it's a good pick. I think it's a smart pick. He goes with a couple rookie picks here on the way back. If I'm counting right, it looks like 108, 109. Yeah, right after Burden, 108, 109. He gets Kyle Pitts, Week 15 hero. He gets Daniel Jones as his second quarterback. Hopefully he's alive. Zach Charbonnet, Jaden Reed, Josh Downs, Shador Sanders, Jerry Jeudy. That's a tough couple picks there. Blewett, the kicker, describing his last 2 picks. And then some more kickers here. It looks like these are all third rounders here, because I think I got 212 right here. So third rounder, third rounder, third rounder, third rounder. So he's got some late round picks to play with. He's obviously very strong at tight end. He's very, very strong at running back. Wide receiver and quarterback 2 are a little shaky, but he has picks to play with. He could try to trade a first round pick to strengthen that quarterback spot. He could try to trade for a veteran wide receiver. He could draft some wide receivers. He's got stuff to play with there. Again, like nothing here that I would consider outrageous or a big reach. I think mostly good value picks. I think Ladd McConkey here at 4.9 is a little bit underwhelming lately. But, you're getting the stack. You can hope for this offense to really bounce back next year and bet on that. Then we also have Carson, who is here. He's our 4th, pure potential member that is in a startup. He goes with a classic pure potential pick with Brock Bowers at 110. Carson got absolutely hosed with the Mahomes pick. He took him. This was the week before the ACL tear, so that is just some bad timing. I'm grateful that he did it, because I was going to take Mahomes. But yeah, Bowers, Mahomes. Is this a bit? I'm genuinely curious. Like, are you guys serious? If you are, that's fine. But like, are both of you serious here about this? Nothing shaky about Shador. Like, you guys actually think this guy is good, and you actually think he's going to be a starter next year? Like, I just don't get it, man. I really don't get it. Like, did you guys watch the Bears game? We're hanging our hat on one good game against like the one of the worst teams in the league. They didn't even win. I don't get it. But either way, we get Bowers, Mahomes. Brandon Aubrey is the 102. And then 105. 102, 105. Harold Fannin. I would have taken Loveland still over Fannin, but I understand it. I think it's totally defensible to take Fannin. I think that can totally work out. I guess Nico should have taken Fannin, or he would have been able to have the stack, the Shador, Jeudy, Fannin stack, but he ends up with Loveland. Carson goes Harvey. I think that's actually going to age pretty well. I'm starting to really like RJ Harvey, potentially a guy that could be a riser in the rankings even still. That's his first running back, solid pick. And then which way is the board going here? Oops, sorry. I mean to click on Bowers. Board is flowing this way. So we go, that was the 107, 108, 109, 110. So he goes 111, 112, I think here, or 112, 201, something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm counting wrong. I guess I could pull up the thing. No, these are later picks. These are 202, 203, maybe. They're early seconds. Then we get some running backs here. This is where the draft, like, I don't know about Swift and Monungai as your two running backs there, but I guess you could end up with the Bears starter one way or the other, or you just keep both, and I guess they've been sort of startable together. Swift has been really solid for fantasy, and I probably just have some prejudice against him that's not fair. He is under contract, and he has scored a lot of points lately, so he might just be a guy that's undervalued that I'm like too low on, but he's got Monungai as well. He's got Pat Bryant, which I do like. I feel like I wouldn't have taken him as high as, like, I would have taken some of these other wide receivers before him, like a Jacoby Myers. I think I still do prefer the ceiling on Matthew Golden. I'm not sure how high the ceiling is on Pat Bryant, but I understand it. There's opportunity there. I like the Algier pick. Then we go Wandale. That's a good value. I think Wandale was top of my queue when you took him. I definitely would have snatched him up. Barner was the one that made me so mad because I tried to push Barner around the turn. I took the 3-0 something, or the 2-0, 212. I took the 212, I think, and I thought I could push Barner around, and he did not come back. We go Trey Harris, Torrey Horton. I like the leaning into youth here. You have rookie. Rookie. You look at this draft, right? Rookie, rookie, or I should say pick, rookie, pick, rookie. There's a lot of rookies or picks here. You're keeping this team young. That is a good way to preserve value over the offseason. So, yeah, that's solid. Anyway, don't appreciate the snipes on Wandale and Barner, but yeah, solid drafts all around. Good job, gentlemen. We have some people that are going very like this guy's very win now. He traded his 27 first basically for Jared Goff, which was an interesting choice. He got really scared about quarterbacks. He still only has one quarterback. I don't know if he knows that you can start two in this league, or that you kind of have to. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 running backs. 10 of his 20 picks so far have been running backs. So you've got 10 running backs, one quarterback. You've got JSN, London, Waddle, Franklin, Coker, Mechie, Jennings at wide receiver, Ferguson, and likely at tight end. Yeah, I mean, this is a team that you can see if you can get another quarterback, it's going to project well for 2026. But honestly, like, a lot of this depth could be pretty worthless. It's going to be a very top-heavy team. Doesn't have, the draft capital to build on. So this is a house of cards. I don't love this team. Definitely think McCaffrey was a reach. I mean, he traded his 27-1 away for basically nothing. Max, we did not have a season this year. We're currently in the draft right now, still going. So no points matter until next season. We'll be doing the rookie draft. Oh, another reason, by the way, I wanted to take a lot of rookie picks in this draft is that for whatever reason, Nico said he wanted to do the rookie draft like 2 weeks before the season, which I've never done. I mean, I always, all my rookie drafts are finished by June. So that's unique, but I think it actually makes picks a little bit more valuable. I was trying to think this through. I think that rookie picks get a little more valuable when the rookie pick is later for a couple of reasons. One, because that's extending the window of time that you have for hype to build for the draft. You have an extension of time that you can trade those picks. So you maintain liquidity for an even longer period of time, right? You're adding 3 months of liquidity where you can trade those picks. And then you also get through the summer where you have these training camp hype pieces. You have highlight videos. People are going to want those rookies, especially the later round picks where people usually don't know, they don't really know who to go for and there's not as much excitement. By the time you're getting into August, people know these late round picks. They're like, I really want Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. You know, they're like, I want Aronde Gadsden. I want Harold Fannin. So you have those late picks. You can hold on to those all summer and be really picky about trading those. And so you can see Austin here in the chat. This is a lesson on paying attention to your league format. Now, it worked out for him anyway because he took the picks, but yeah, that was part of my consideration as well that I had forgotten about until just now. But yeah, that the rookie draft is later, I do think actually makes the picks more valuable. So something you could think about if your league does that, you want rookie picks because people are going to they're going to be foaming at the mouth by the time that draft comes around, especially because it'll have been so long since they did a draft. They're just going to want some of that dopamine, and you'll have all of the leverage there. All right, so that's enough of the startup. We're going to move on from that unless anybody has more questions, more comments. But yeah, Austin and I will be very busy in that startup draft. But Carson as well. Carson has 4 picks. Nico has like 7 picks. So we're all going to be busy. Pure Potential is going to be well represented. We're all going to be sniping each other. There are several teams that just have like no picks at all. Like literally 1 pick, maybe 1 late pick, or like no picks at all. So definitely some different approaches here. We'll see if those guys change their mind as we go. But yeah. All right. Yeah, honestly, the worst part about drafting rookie picks is it ruins the screenshot equity of your draft, where you try to take that cool screenshot of your draft, like the one that's in the thumbnail where I literally don't have a second running back, and all of your players on the bench are kickers. And the kickers have no aura, so it's like it definitely destroys the draft screenshot, and you don't feel as excited when you take the rookie pick because it's not like a real player yet. But you gotta take your vegetables, eat your vegetables. I just combined take your medicine, eat your vegetables. But yeah, eat your medicine, take your vegetables, and draft those rookie picks. The only other thing that was asked was from Matty Ice, unless I missed something. Let me scroll back up here. AJ said talk about the startups, so that I did that. Yeah, so Matty Ice asked, looking at rankings, making value assessments as we enter the offseason, is there any general advice on how you would alter values for us in 1 quarterback, non-tight end premium, or leagues with 10 or 14 teams? How much more movement from the current value rankings would there be for players in different league settings? So I don't know if there's one good blanket answer for this, like move everybody down a tier or whatever, because it totally changes the economy of the league. But I'll say first off, there would be a big difference in value for a 1 quarterback league, especially in a 1 quarterback league. The majority of quarterbacks are basically worthless. They're like all interchangeable. And the reason for that is if you look at the scoring for quarterbacks, you have the guys at the top that are really good, and then you have a really broad tier of guys that are replaceable that are going to, on a weekly basis be shuffled in any order. And so you don't really want to be putting a ton of value into guessing who that guy is. Maybe one player like a Stafford jumps out and you can see they're having a legendary type of season, and you go and maybe you pay a little extra for that guy. But you shouldn't expect, if you have a non-elite quarterback in 1 quarterback, like, if you went and got CJ Stroud after his rookie year, if you went and got Trevor Lawrence when he got hyped, when you went and got Jordan Love at his peak, you're pretty much just chasing your tail, trying to find that consistent high-end production. It doesn't really exist outside of the elite guys. So there's like, in Superflex, there's kind of this like gradual decline of value, whereas in 1 quarterback, the way I would think of it is like this dramatic drop off. It's like you have your Allens and maybe your Drake May, Lamar Jackson, like your very tippy top guys you can rely on to produce high end, and it just tails off exponentially, because the second you hit a certain threshold of production, the players are totally replaceable, like to the point that you can trade a 3rd round pick for a quarterback at any time, or you can literally pick up quarterbacks on waivers. So I would be dropping, all the quarterbacks would drop. May and Allen would not be within the top 20 players for me, but they would be pretty high. And then you would have a like exponential drop off where like I wouldn't even consider players like Purdy, Love. I would not care about those guys, Bo Nix, Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Baker Mayfield. I don't care about those guys. Like just as late as you want to go before you take another quarterback, I don't care. Like you can literally just wait till the very end of your draft, take a couple quarterbacks. You can piece things together. Like Jacoby Brissett literally makes 80% of the quarterbacks available in Dynasty irrelevant in a one quarterback league. So that's it's really, really, really different. Non-tight end premium it's a little easier to make some blanket statements where you can kind of just move everybody down a tier. Like Brock Bowers and Trey McBride would be more like, like late second, early third type startup picks. And then you move down a little bit further. It's like Tyler Warren would drop around. Like everybody kind of just drops around or a tier. Some players would drop more. And I think it really hurts the lower end tight ends where like they have just no value. Like you might as well in a one non-tight end premium league. Like I don't care about Brenton Strange. I don't care about Mason Taylor, TJ Hawkinson, AJ Barner. I don't care about those guys. And you don't want to have a lot of value tied up in tight ends. You don't want to have multiple stud tight ends because they're not usually good. They're not very cost-effective flex plays. Like you're typically not wanting to flex a tight end. Like I guess if you had Bowers and McBride, you could, but you'd probably be better served moving one of those guys for a running back or a wide receiver. So that's the main difference. You probably move everybody down a tier. As far as league size, 10 teams, 14 teams, in a 10-team league, basically the smaller your league is, and that includes starting lineup and teams. If you think of just like teams times starters, so how many total starters are there? In a 10-team start 9 league, you're starting 90 players. In a 12-team start 10 league, you're starting 120 players. There's 30 extra guys that are in starting lineups every single week in that 12-team start 10. So there's a big difference there in the availability of depth players, of replacement players. And so the smaller that number is of total starters, the more and more aggressively you want to be trying to consolidate and you want to be trying to get the best starters you can into your lineup. Because it's kind of a twofold thing where the smaller the lineup is, the more every individual lineup spot matters to distance yourself from the competition. So the more adding a Puka Nacua to your start 9 league is slightly more impactful than a start 10 because your opponent has fewer spots to make up for that difference. And then the other thing is that when there's less starters, that means there's less demand for flex players. Like you think about, if you try to go and trade your extra bench players to somebody who already has a bunch of bench players, they don't want them. They're not going to trade you picks. They're not going to trade you anything for those guys because they know they don't need any more depth. So that means the opposite becomes true. You can go and trade for those bench players pretty much whenever you want because there's going to be someone in your league that has 10 guys on their bench that they can start, and you can go and buy one of those players if you need to. They might even be on the waivers. It depends how small your league is. So that would be my big difference. I don't know how much it would change the rankings exactly. I guess players that are propped up for floor reasons would become a little less valuable, and players that have higher ceilings, like I think running backs are a little bit more valuable in a smaller league because they typically have the higher ceilings and the wide receivers have the higher floors. And then you get into maybe the wide receiver range of like Devontae Smith, Jordan Addison. Those guys become a little bit less exciting in a start 9 format or a 10-team league because, again, the distance they have between the worst available starters is smaller. So those would be some thoughts on formats. And yeah, Carson, for sure. I would absolutely, I like 2-for-1 trades in really every format if you can pull them off and not hollow out your team entirely. But yes, in a 10-team start 8 league, I'm basically never taking the worst player in a deal. Like if it's if the players are really close, you're getting an overpay, whatever. But like in general, I'm not going to be taking, if I have like a superstar player, I'm basically never trading that player for two lesser players, because the whole point of that format, start 8, 10 team, there's only 80 starters. You only have 8 spots. You're just trying to get the best guys you can in every slot. So like if someone wants Jahmyr Gibbs, get out of here. Somebody wants Jamar Chase, get out of here. Like, I'm not doing it. And yes, I would be consolidating like crazy in those leagues. And I just try to get some late picks thrown in that you can backfill with some rookies. You'll hit on some upside and you can just kind of rinse and repeat, I think, is what you should be doing. It gets much harder when you get into the bigger league formats and you have to balance the depth and the floor and the upside. It gets a little bit harder. Like start 11 leagues are absolutely brutal for 2-for-1 deals. It's way harder to do it. All right. So those are some thoughts there. I'll just close this out. I'm going to talk about some trades that I made. I've become very irritated by the number of leagues I have that don't have trade deadlines, because I have felt compelled to make a lot of deals this week. I keep seeing my opponents get trades done and it alters my projections, and I have assets available that I can move. I can be more efficient. I can be more, streamlined. I can get upgrades. I wish that I just had deadlines so that I didn't have to think about it, but I'm not capable of just letting the chips fall. Like, I have to be doing something. So in the leagues that don't have deadlines, I've been very active. Now, this can be very helpful. When you get eliminated, you can go and hopefully flip some of your pieces for picks, for rookies, whatever. And that can actually, put you in a better spot for next year, because you're getting those depreciating assets off your team. So I've been able to do that some. But I have a lot of semifinal teams that are still alive where there's no deadline. My opponents are still improving. I'm trying to improve. And I am making some deals, I'm going to be totally honest with you, where I am sacrificing value to get points. And I think that this is okay. I know that I've made a lot of videos where I talk about why you shouldn't do that. And overall, I don't think you should sacrifice tons of value for points. But I think that it makes sense to tactically give up some value when you can make a significant improvement to your lineup. It really, what it always comes down to is this move or, this move or this series of moves likely to cost you a competitive season? If you're going to make such aggressive trades, like you're going to trade your 27 first and you're going to trade all your young players and you're getting all these expiring assets. You're buying DJ Moore this week. You're buying Kittle. You're buying all these guys that are going to eventually expire. You're going to force yourself into a rebuild. What I think that I'm doing, and we'll see if it's the case, it'll take time to find out. What I think that I'm doing is making some calculated moves that are sacrificing value in the short term, or in the long term, I should say. But I don't think that they're such needle moving trades that they're going to really burn me. So I have 5 trades here, I think. Some of the 3 of them are contending trades. 2 of them are I got eliminated trades. And some of these are tricky to break down because some of these deals are in best ball leagues. So I'm in I want to say 7 Dynasty best ball leagues. And Dynasty best ball it's a different beast. There's a little bit less to be gained from having those really valuable high-end guys. A little bit less. Depends what they're scoring right, at the time. And then there's also a lot more benefit to just stacking up bodies, just having as many guys on your bench that can go off for a spike week. So it's a little bit of a different format. This is a best ball league here. And I lost Daniel Jones. I lost Kyler Murray. I was down to just Aaron Rodgers and Jacoby Brissett in the quarterback room. So I was able to swing this deal to send Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson for some reason, and Brian Robinson for Stafford and Waller. And so, yeah, I have Kyler ranked maybe slightly ahead of Stafford. Honestly, I might flip that anyway if I think Stafford's coming back next year. But, you could call that a slight loss. Brian Robinson is probably more valuable than Waller because Waller is probably going to retire after the year. And so you're losing this running back that theoretically could continue to be a good handcuff. I don't think it's enough of a sacrifice to stop me from making the deal. And I'm very glad I made the deal because Matthew Stafford just scored 36 fantasy points in my lineup. And that puts me in a good spot for the week. So that's a trade that I thought made sense for my team situation. I didn't think it was a particularly devastating move. This is another win now deal. This is a 1.0 tight end premium league. So tight ends get 2 total points per catch. They put up pretty nasty scores. Like Kyle Pitts scored 56 points in this format last week. I wanted to make I thought I had the value available to make a significant upgrade, and this was a player that was on the block. And so I went ahead and made a move for George Kittle. I traded McCarthy, a second and a fourth for Kittle. I'm not even sure this is a value loss. It really depends on what McCarthy does the rest of the season. But you can see I'm getting rid of youth, I'm getting rid of picks, and I'm gaining an aging player. Now, my hope is that Kittle helps me win this thing. And then he comes back and he's good again next year. If he's not effective next year or doesn't give me anything next year, this is a bit of a value loss for me. But at the same time, JJ McCarthy could be terrible next season, and then it's not a loss at all. So I'm certainly sacrificing upside here, value upside, but I'm getting something tangible right now, which is a 20-point projection in the semifinal round. And at the end of the day, guys, we are trying to win money. I don't want that to be lost in all the talks about value. Like, we are trying to win leagues here, and there is a tangible impact that he's making to my lineup. Trent, are you trolling again? You hate George Kittle? Kittle's a bum. Based on what, bro? Are you a Seahawks fan, a Rams fan? Craziness. 9 is the future. Great. So we like Shedeur Sanders. We like JJ McCarthy. Do you like what other quarterbacks do you like? Big Zach Wilson guy, big Josh Rosen fan. Any other quarterbacks you can cape up for here? Probably really looking forward to the Quinn Ewers debut this week. But yeah, another win now deal. Again, I don't think it's a devastating move. He really wanted my 2027 first, and that is where I would have drawn the line. I was not moving my 27 first. That's too risky. And I think that's really where it matters for me is like, what is the ultimate upside of the assets you're giving away? Because if I give away a 27 first and my team falls apart, that's a type of move that can really set you back a year. Because you could have had the 101 and instead you have a 33-year-old tight end. That's hard to stomach. So I wasn't prepared to do that. And in general, I'm not really moving my 27 firsts to make win now deals at the moment. I'm just not willing to do it. Here, Trent's going to like this trade because I actually am trading away George Kittle in a league where I got eliminated. I'm trading away Kittle here and Stevenson it's a best ball league, I believe, for just a 26 first. I think this guy's going to lose this week. At least I'm hoping he does. He beat me last week. It was it was very frustrating and it was very fluky. This guy has like a very shallow roster, and just all of the guys that he does have came through with big games. He had like 25 points from Dalton Schultz. It was a bummer. But I was able to trade away Kittle, Stevenson, who's basically a nothing to me, for a first that I'm hoping is the 109. Maybe he makes the final. I don't really care. I'm good with that either way in a situation where I'm eliminated. Then we have another trade. Again, this is a trade where I'm making a deal with the team that just eliminated me. So I got knocked out. This is probably the league that I'm the most tilted about because I had 2 pathways to winning this matchup, one of which was just Jalen Warren falls in the freaking end zone for 6 points and I would have won. Or if I had just benched Isaiah Likely for anybody else, I would have won. I didn't win. Whatever. We're on to next season. My opponent, after much asking on my part, finally caved and traded me Luther Burden for Travis Etienne, who, don't get me wrong, is a good piece and is going to have value next year, and Theo Johnson, who I really don't care about. I have a bunch of depth. I have Fannin, I have Gadsden, I have Likely, I have Hawkinson. I don't need Theo Johnson. So yeah, ETN, Theo, I get another Luther Burden share. You love to see it. And then this last deal is another win now trade. This is, again, a best ball league. I don't think that really matters. Like, this trade works pretty much the same either way. Saquon Barkley is being ranked pretty consistently top three, top four running back this week. He has a very good matchup against the Commanders. Devonta Smith is fine. They're not that far off for me in value, but I think the odds of getting a real ceiling game here are leaned heavily in Barkley's favor, and I would just rather have him. I don't know what to say about Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. I really don't have a ton of faith in him long term. Either way, he's not a guy that catches passes. I think the Commanders suck. I don't know when they won't suck. So he's pretty expendable, I think. So I went ahead and grabbed myself a Saquon Barkley here. My opponent traded for Christian McCaffrey, so I just really didn't want to sit on my hands when I knew that Barkley was available. Again, I don't think this is a huge value loss, if it even is one at all. I actually don't even know if I'd consider it a loss. So yeah, so those are some deals that I've been making. You can see the rest in the trade channel. I post all the trades in the Discord. I don't know if you haven't been over to that channel. If it doesn't interest you at all, that's totally fine. I get it. You're like, why would I care? I just like for you to be able to see the trades that I'm making, because I can't always talk about every player take. I can't always tell you what I'm thinking, or I don't always remember to. And so if you can see these deals, it could give you ideas for trades that you might want to make, could show you how I am behaving in leagues where I'm eliminated, in leagues where I'm competitive. And you're always welcome to, tag me. If you want to follow up about a trade, ask a question about it, feel free to do that. I can always go in more depth about the format. So, all right, guys. I'm going to sign off. It looks like you guys have the rest of this college football playoff game that you can check out. Hopefully you guys were entertained by the startup breakdown. But yeah, it's semifinal week, guys. It's the rubber hits the road here. There's going to be some heartbreak. Hopefully there's a lot of wins. And then we're on to the finals, and then we start getting ready for next year, I guess. It's crazy. We're really on the brink. But yeah, good luck to everybody. Go Birds tomorrow. Go Saquon Barkley. And hope you guys get what you need from those players. I'll talk to you soon. Have a good night.